Okay.
This is real. We're live right here, right now. And I am here with the Voice CEO, my friend Nigel Wright. Nigel, please introduce
Oh,
yourself to our friends that are either listening to us or watching us. We are live broadcasting with our Attention Live software. So that
nice.
live broadcast to voice devices like Amazon's Lexi, as well as social media sites like YouTube. So we're broadcasting just our voice right now. And then we're also broadcasting through our friends at Zoom, their technology video, because I thought it'd be good to capture the video as well.
Yes,
Um,
indeed.
so
So,
this is titled Our Origin Story. So it starts with people knowing who are you? Who are you, my friend? Let them know.
well, let me start this off. Let me do a proper.
I like
Not
it.
that that wasn't proper. Okay, so I am Nigel Wright, and welcome to Voice CEO Conversations, where you're always the boss of your voice. So we're going to be joined here today and for the next 7 days after with Ian Utile, you know, the one wheeling Hello Future CEO of Attention Live. And we're going to be talking about the topics that affect voice, technology, relationships, and all the things that go into a startup, and all the things that any proper voice CEO would need to tackle. And the first, which this is my personal favorite, and we've come to this discussion amongst you and me from the very beginning, so it's very authentic to who we are. Origin story. It is literally one of my favorite things because I think it's the connection point that basically decides. They say sometimes you meet someone and like in the first 30 seconds or how many ever seconds they that is, that you know whether or not something's going to happen. And I think your origin story kind of centers that. It grounds it. It's the foundation, so that when someone says, hey, how do you know Ian, and then I could go, that's a great question, I can't wait to answer that. And the better the origin story, usually the more solid the connection. So welcome to our origin story as told by us. So there we are. I hope that did it justice.
I like it. I like it.
Fantastic. So I'm gonna I'm gonna just pose the question to you so that we can dig into it. What was it? Now, first, let me just say this. I've been very pleased with where we've started, how we started, and how we've arrived here. I wanted to start with that, and I'm so grateful, for that. I think it's truly been a blessing in that regard. So, what was it? Well, first, actually, why don't you talk about how we met, as from your perspective?
Sure. Well, I was in my treehouse. I live in a treehouse. This is not a picture of the treehouse. Right now, I'm not inside of the treehouse. I'm north of
Okay.
the treehouse, but the ocean is right there. And my treehouse about 10 miles south. The ocean's the same way. So I live in the coast in Santa Cruz and just south of San Francisco. I was in the treehouse and I was on Clubhouse, clubhousing in the treehouse. And you jumped in and I thought you had the coolest avatar I'd ever seen. I just love your avatar. And also, you just are super optimistic, grateful. You exude positivity. It's like overflowing. Like, you ever seen somebody with a pitcher and they pour too much water in a glass? It's like you got too much gratitude and too much love and too much joy and contentment and happiness and thankfulness. And it's just flowing out all over everybody on Clubhouse. So I was just excited to build a friendship with you. That was probably 2 months ago. It was likely at the happy hour voice with our mutual friend, Dr. Terry Fisher.
Carrie
And
Fisher.
uh, that was the beginning of things when I first got to hear the voice of the voice CEO.
Wow. I'm honored. And I think that was accurate. As the gratitude champion, as I've come to be called, I think I just kind of took that name. but I do feel that way. I do feel grateful every day. I feel grateful to be here right now. And I'm going to just share from my perspective what it was. I had been, your reputation preceded you. So let's just say that. So I had been hearing about, Attention Live and what was going on. And as I told you when we first spoke, I'm not really the chaser of things. That's not something that I do. But I was like, I want to be involved in this. I actually am like that interested. So I'd heard someone talking about sports cards, and they're saying, "Oh yeah, that's great. We have these rights, and the hot takes from the players and everything." And then someone talked about, yeah, it's got this platform. You push the button, you're going live, and you can get all that. You can create an NFT, and you go to YouTube, and you go here, and you go there. And I'm like, wow. And I just gotten started like getting more in depth into voice. And I'm like, that sounds fascinating. I got to find out more about this. So then, poking around and, voice rooms here, there. So I land on, again, shout out to Dr. Terry Fisher. Happy hour. Mr. What are you drinking? Yeah. Voice den. So I go into the room, and we talked about this today, but I think the most important piece of it was feeling welcomed. And I'm going to say it again. That's just how powerful it is. Feeling welcomed was what the attraction was, what really made it. And to this day, even as we speak here, we spoke earlier this morning, whenever we speak, it's always that feeling of being welcome, and that welcomeness breeds trust. Yeah. And that trust, it transcends everything else. It makes you feel comfortable to speak about things that I know for me sometimes that I would probably not ordinarily share or speak about, even though I would feel. And I think that just builds a more solid foundation. So it was truly being welcomed. You always like, hey, tell me what you're thinking, feel free to share. It was always very inviting. There was no, like they say in the Tech Talks Club, there was no big eyes and small U's, or however that they term it. But that was a big part of it, feeling welcome. And you've always made me feel welcome. And then there's the use, I'll just end with this. It was the use of the word friends. And it's not just friends like a friend request on Facebook, which I think is funny, but it's friends where you feel it. It's like almost like said with your chest, like Kevin Hart says, you say it with your chest, like friends.
Yeah.
And you've just made that, you breathe new life into that word. So I always feel like I'm in a friendly environment. So though that was how I felt being in that clubhouse room that first time, and many times after that.
Yes. As far as origins of you and I developing a friendship, we obviously were inside Clubhouse a lot. And then I grabbed Gabe on our team and I said, hey, I know we've kind of lined out the next round of people that we're going to onboard as beta users. And I just want to prioritize this guy, Nigel Wright. I just feel like he is going to use our technology in ways that we want him to, and in new and creative ways that he'll come up with. And so that's a big part of the origin of where it leads to us today, right? So we're going to go live for 10 minutes every day for the next 8 days. We'll go live at the time of the date. So tomorrow it'll be at 4:24 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about being human, beliefs and guiding principles. On Sunday, we'll talk about accountability in voice tech, NLP, and AI. On Monday, it'll be a conversation on comparing voice equity versus voice ownership. Tuesday will be non-fun, acknowledging NFT's dark side. And then on Wednesday, it'll be the difference in NFT value versus attention. Thursday, it'll be the significance of both passion and profit. And finally, next Friday, April 30th at 4:30 Eastern Time, we'll be wrapping up this 8-part conversations with where should we go from here. So we have an agenda, but we have not been overly detailed in what we're going to talk about. One thing that we want to do is we want to leave ourselves wanting more. And Nigel, I want to keep talking with you, but
Yes.
we're up at time. So that's it. We're cutting it off. We'll be back tomorrow. I'll likely be at the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk tomorrow when we do this with my two boys as they ride on the rides. And so people get to see the beach and see the crazy Santa Cruz County where it is definitely back to business. Everything's wide open. All the tourists are here, as people will see if that's where I do it.
Well,
Nigel,
let me leave them with one last thought.
you're my friend. Why don't you take the last word?
Yeah, with one last thought for everybody who's watching later on. Tell us what your origin story is.
Yeah.
Or an origin story with somebody that is meaningful in your life. We would love to hear back from you, and we would love to engage you in that conversation, because that's what this is about. Voice CEO conversations, where you're always the boss of your voice. And in closing, remember, your voice is your passport and conversation is the currency. Thank you.